Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I'm Susan Routledge, your host, and I am absolutely thrilled to have a very, very special guest with me today, and that is James Knight. And James is the founder of IMA Strategy, which is a universal colour-based language, which I've never, ever come across anything quite like it for finding the true personality of someone. And I got fascinated by this system years ago, and I've used it ever since, and then trained to become a practitioner as well. I think it was about 3 years ago. Absolutely brilliant. So James, thank you so much for being a guest, and welcome. Just so lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much, Susan. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited about it. And we are talking about probably my all-time favorite subject in the world. So let me know what you would like to know, and I'll be happy to share it with you.
Well, first of all, I find it absolutely fascinating that you just told me before that it's 50 years since you actually founded IMA for yourself. So can you just explain a little bit about how IMA came about, how it all became the fantastic system that it is and global? So yeah, can we just start from the very beginning?
It's my pleasure. People
right.
ask me sometimes, when did you first come up with the idea of IMA? And the answer to that question is when my background is I worked for the Dale Carnegie organization in America. Wow. Some people will recognize the name as being the author of a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Mm-hmm. And I worked for Carnegie early in my career. My job was to organize classes for the Dale Carnegie courses for their public speaking course. When I first started, I started by reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. And rule number 1 of How to Win Friends and Influence People is to become genuinely interested in others. Mm-hmm. Rule number 5 was talk in terms of the other person's interests. And rule number 8 is look at things from the other person's point of view. And I thought at that time, if I could look at things from other people's points of view, that it would help me become more effective in every level of my life. Yeah. So that's when I started on this process of trying to identify a way of looking at things from other people's points of view. That has now grown to become what is now known as IMA, which is a universal color-based language that's designed to help people connect with one another.
So obviously it is such a simple process. No, I'll reframe that. It comes across as such a simple process, but it never fails to be accurate.
Yes.
And it is just a process of a few multiple choice questions that someone does. How on earth did you come up with that?
Well, Emerson said, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you can see further. And he also said, you have only to move in the direction of your dreams to meet with success unexpected in common hours. My dream was to contribute in a way to bring people closer, to help make the world a better place, to help people understand, relate to, and work together better. So as I mentioned, I started out on my own to help me relate better to people. The idea behind IMA is that even though every person is as unique as their thumbprint, each of us has a systematic framework or comfort zone where we feel the most comfortable most of the time. And although there are some now 8 billion people on the planet, there are not 8 billion comfort zones there are only 4. And that is a person's IMA high color. And if you know a person's IMA high color, you've identified the way that that person feels most comfortable thinking, making decisions, using time, managing their emotions, and what they want, need, and expect from you and others.
Yeah.
So what IMA stands for is identify the IMA color of the person that you're dealing with. The M is to modify the message by encoding it in a way that's most likely to be understood. And then the A is adapt to the way you treat one person versus another. But it can also stand for appreciate the differences in people, because each of the 4 IMA high colors have amazing areas of brilliance, things that they can do naturally that the majority of people can't come close to matching.
Oh.
So when I do a seminar, I'll ask the question, has this ever happened to you, where you met someone and after meeting them for just a couple of minutes, it seemed like you'd known them for years?
Yeah.
And the hands go up. Has this ever happened to you, where you met someone and no matter how long you knew them, no matter how hard you tried, you just couldn't get along with that person? And the hands go up in that case as well. So the idea is we like people that like us, but we like people that are like us. And the great news is that there are 2 billion people on the planet where if you met them, it would be in the same instance of where you met them, felt so comfortable with them. It's like you'd known them for years. The bad news is 6 billion people on the planet are on a different wavelength than us. And when people are different, they have trouble connecting, often miscommunicate, and you can rub people the wrong way just by being yourself. So what IMA does is it helps you connect with the majority of people who read, interpret, interact, communicate, and experience the world through a different lens than you.
Yeah.
And when you treat people the way they want to be treated, because each of the 4 IMA high colors have a particular way through which they need, want, and expect to be treated. And when you treat people the way they need, want, and expect to be treated, then trust, communication, cooperation, understanding go up, and stress and tension go down.
Yeah. And when I very first came across IMA, I think it must be about 12, 14 years ago. And I was doing Key Person of Influence with Daniel Priestley, and we did an exercise, and he put everyone into groups of, I think we were around about 8 in a group. And then what we had to do was, I can't remember the exact how we did it, but you had to imagine you were on a desert island and you had all these different tasks that you had to do as a team. And it was so fascinating because obviously, you got a lot of entrepreneurial spirit in the room as well. But there was people who were going to be doing certain things. And logically, I was like thinking, to me, that didn't make sense. And we were all like getting to the point where it was like, well, no, you should be doing this. This should, and it just got to the point where, and the whole idea of it was to show that, you have a team of people together who aren't connected in any way and all wanting to pull and push in different ways. And then obviously we did the IMA strategy.
Yes,
and then once you've understood very quickly whether someone was high yellow, high red, you could very easily see why they logically were thinking that way.
Yes.
And it was absolutely fascinating. And I think from then on, I was just absolutely hooked and have talked about it ever since. And then obviously since then I've become a practitioner. But, it was just so fascinating. And it just made everything so logical so quickly. I just never ever come across anything quite like it.
I'm told that people, the reason they like IMA is because it's so simple.
Yeah.
And there is a direct relationship between simplicity and relevance. The more simple something is, the more relevant it becomes in our lives. And so in this particular case, there are some great psychometrics that are out there that deal with in-depth psychological reports on people, and they provide really very meaningful information. But they're complicated, and it takes time to be able to grasp it. And in today's world, most of us do not have the time or the attention span to be able to delve into it as deeply. People tell me the reason they like IMA is because it's simple, but it goes deep. It's got universal applications, and it's got a global reach to it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally 2 minutes, isn't it? If that. To do. I know we are going to put the link for the questionnaire in the show notes.
Yes.
But it literally does take less than 2 minutes to do it.
Yes.
And as I say, I've never ever known it not be 100% accurate, and that just blows my mind. Because it's one of those things that you think, even logically, you think it can never be that accurate, but it is.
Well, if we can talk in terms of the IMA high colors
Yes.
for a minute, and to recognize the fact that every person is unique, as I had mentioned.
Yes.
And so IMA is not about putting people in boxes or to label them. We are a blend of colors, but each of us has a high point on the graph where most of the time, in most situations, we feel most comfortable in a particular way. And I'll give you an example on that. Fold your arms. Okay, now notice which arm is on top.
Yes.
Now change it and put the other arm on top.
Yeah.
You can do it, but how does it feel?
Uncomfortable.
A little bit uncomfortable and not as natural.
Yeah.
Well, we start from the time we're children, where we try a lot of different things. Some things, they work and we do it again. Other things, we find that it's not a success and we don't do it. So over a period of time, we form a pattern that becomes programmed into us, and we begin operating in a particular way. And it starts, if you don't mind, let me just give you an example of that. Some people find that they start by with their I'm a high color. There are two elements of observable behavior. And the first is whether a person is very open, sharing and showing their feelings, or whether they feel more self-contained and like to keep more of a distance between people. So that's the first element. The second element is the pace with which people operate. Some people operate at a very fast pace, and they're comfortable in that way. Others are more comfortable operating at a slower, more relaxed pace. So if, as an example, if I could take this, and if you can see this on the camera, a person that is high blue is a person that is right brain thinking, dealing with dreams and visions and concepts, and they feel most comfortable operating at a slower, more relaxed pace. High blues are pleasant, cooperative, people. They love people. They ooze empathy. If you tell a high blue person something that's sad, they'll cry with you. If you tell them something happy, they'll genuinely be happy with you and for you. They're pleasant, cooperative. They're great listeners, devoted friends, and loyal employees. And they represent 2 billion people on the planet who we all have people that are high blues in our life.
Now, can I just say that when we've done this, we've found that in my industry, in the beauty industry, there's a lot of high blue beauty therapists.
Yes.
Because they have got that nurturing side to them, so we've always found that's quite a high tendency in our industry.
Yes, and that's a really good point. Jobs have colors just like people. There are two types of income. There's the financial income that pays the bills, but there's also the psychic income where we get our emotional rewards from doing what we're doing. And having the ability to be close, personal, one of high blue's traits, areas of brilliance, is that they're great listeners. They're devoted friends. And I'm certain that within the industry, you're dependent on interpersonal relationships and connecting with people and having that connection with a high blue. Would they be called beauty therapists?
Yes, that's right.
People not only they come because they trust the therapist, because that therapist has interest, genuinely interested in them. And people sense that.
Yes.
So it would be a quality that would attract the therapist for choosing that particular career, because again, they're doing something that they're naturally brilliant at. Connecting with people, relationships, building relationships and relating to people.
Yeah. As I say, we've found that hugely across our industry. So that's great. Yeah. Again, as I say, it's always so accurate.
So people that are left brain thinking, dealing with facts and logic and data, and people that are more comfortable operating, again, at a slower, relaxed pace, like high blues, only they are not right brain thinking like high blues. They're left brain thinking, dealing with facts and logic and data. These are high greens.
Yeah.
High greens are more serious, analytical, perfectionistic. They love logic. They adore accuracy, cherish efficiency.
Yeah.
They want to be precise. They want to be correct. They want others to be precise.
Yeah.
These are high greens.
Yeah, I've got some high greens in my team, and they're amazing as well. It's a lovely trait.
Absolutely. But they are different than high blues. High blues want to be close to you, put their arm around you, hug you, whereas high greens are more comfortable keeping more of a distance. And they're brilliant in areas that high blues are not, and vice versa. So those are your high greens.
Yeah.
People that operate at a faster pace, they're more assertive, approaching risk change and making decisions quickly, and are left brain thinking, just like your high greens, are high reds. And high reds are great administrators, delegators, doers. They can move mountains. People are in awe of their ability to figure out what needs to be done and do it.
Yes.
They are so focused on accomplishing results and bottom line results that they can sometimes be accused of being insensitive towards the needs of other people. But part of it is, again, that they are so absorbed on the tasks that they're working on. These are high reds.
Yeah, yes. And they're very process-driven, aren't they, kind of thing? They like to have processes in place.
Absolutely, absolutely. And here again, accomplishing things. If you go to the heads of most large organizations, you'll have high reds sitting there because of their willingness to overcome challenges, make decisions very quickly, work long hours to achieve their goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And finally, one that you can really relate to
I'm high
are
yellow.
people who are right brain thinking, dealing with dreams and visions and concepts, like your high blues, and at the same time operating at a very fast pace, like your high reds.
Yeah.
These are high yellows.
Yeah.
High yellows are outgoing, enthusiastic, people, thrive on being where the action is, long on ideas, but short on follow-through sometimes. And part of the reason for that is high yellows get so many ideas coming through. It wouldn't be unusual for someone, as an example, to say to you, Susan, I'm really excited about the idea we were talking about yesterday. And you might say, what idea was that? Because you had 10 ideas between yesterday and today.
Yeah.
So these are your high yellows: chatty, expressive, fun-loving optimists, dealing with people in a very upbeat, positive way.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think as well, because the thing is that, I'm always on to the next idea. And I think it's like that entrepreneurial thing, isn't it? So there's, I know when we've done it before, sort of entrepreneurial spirit kind of thing, you tend to have quite a high yellow kind of tendency as well, don't you?
Absolutely.
Because it's you just want to the next shiny object all the time.
Absolutely. And out of strength grows weakness. One of the limiting patterns of high yellows, as an example, is keeping their undivided attention on one thing for any period of time. Because we have a tendency to leap before we look, fire before we aim, and get distracted because we get so many ideas coming through.
Yeah.
I say we because I'm a high yellow as well. The difference in my life is 50 years ago, I latched onto this idea that got so big I couldn't let go. And that's what IMA is. It was an idea of how to help bring the world closer, to help people be able to understand, relate to, and work together better. And what happens is, I'm sorry, but just to interrupt, but when you mix those colors, which you are going to do, whether it's in the classroom to start out with when we're children, or at home, or in social situations, or at work, that's when you get stress and tension because you have a difference in priorities and the pace with which people operate is different.
Yeah.
So, and we're continually mixing those colors. However, if people understood IMA and they realized that this person is different than I am, and they're not just trying to make my life a misery by being different, they're simply looking at things from a different perspective, then we come to realize that none of us can do it alone. We all need the help, support, cooperation of others.
Yeah.
And that's where IMA comes in to build peak performance teams, to help put the right people in the right jobs, acquire, retain, utilize the best talent.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
Yeah. And it is very true. Once you understand the other person and understand their needs, it's a lot more harmonious because, like you said earlier, otherwise you're like, I don't really understand where they're coming from. But once you understand what the high tendency is, then you have that understanding. And it's like, I always think it's a little bit like, it's like a meeting of two minds, isn't it, really? It's a meeting of, where one person has to give a little to, and the other one give a little, and then it just marries together quite perfectly.
When you ask most people, how do you decide how to treat people when you first meet them? For most people, it's not a decision at all because they treat people the way they want to be treated. However, if you treat people the way you want to be treated, you'll be wrong more than you're right. Because the majority of people are different than you. You're in the minority.
Yeah.
And when you understand IMA and you realize that people are different and they bring something special to the relationship, it makes differences work for you rather than against you.
So, James, are you born a high tendency in one area, and does that stay with you for life? Or can you be high yellow at one point in your life and then high red at another point? Or does it stay throughout your life?
It stays with you for your entire life. So you can identify the IMA traits of children. They will tell you, and this is a point, that people tell you what color they are based on how they look, what they say, how they say it, what they do, and how they do it. And we start exhibiting these traits from the time that we're really young, very young. And it's a skill to be able to identify the IMA color. And that's one of the things that I do with IMA Strategies, is teach people how to identify the IMA color.
Yeah.
But a leopard doesn't change their spots from the time that we are very young. I'm sure, as an example for yourself, you've always been chatty, expressive, fun-loving,
Yeah.
deal with others in an upbeat way, very positive in your outlook.
Yeah. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So when you founded it, from there to how big it is globally, how did you, was it just a gradual increase in awareness, or did you go all out campaigning to get it everywhere, or how did you get it out there?
As I say, I first started by developing it for myself.
Yeah.
And it was only, it was in 2001, prior to 2001, and I've always been an entrepreneur. I've been involved in a lot of different businesses. I came to England being hired by a property developer at Sloane Square to develop a marketing program for a property at Sloane Square called the Sloane Gardens Club. I loved England, and I hadn't planned on staying. This was in 1984. Move in the direction of your dreams. Met my wife, who is British. We, among other things, we started a hotel chain called Camelot International. And we represented some very large hotels through the airline reservation systems, Galileo, Sabre, Apollo. Dolphin Square Hotel, which is in London, was one of our main properties. In 2001, when the terrorist attack took place and it brought the towers down, it completely destroyed our business. I found myself standing on December 18th. My wife and I were standing in bankruptcy court. We had a really strong, viable business, but it was all based on people traveling. And if you can recall, travel stopped for 6 months during that period of time. So I had to find another way to make a living. And so that's when I decided, among other things, that I would resurrect, if you will, what I called Potential Unlimited, and I would introduce it to companies here in the UK. And that was in 2002.
Yes.
Auto Traders was my very first corporate client here
Really?
in the UK. And I've got a wonderful video recorded by Auto Traders of what happened with their business over an 8-year period by using IMA. So that sometimes the very worst things that happen to us seemingly can be the best, because at that time I literally was forced out of a comfortable area of making a living, and I had to find a different way.
Yeah.
And that IMA played a very important part. I called it a potential unlimited at that time. I didn't call it IMA. That came later on in the development of it.
Wow. And I love the story of like how you used it to build the property development in Bulgaria as well. Could you tell us that story?
It all ties in together, actually, because as I mentioned, on December 18th, 2001, it was a very difficult time for my wife and I. We lost everything as a result of the bankruptcy. We were declared both personally and company bankrupt, so we didn't even have any protection on either one of those. And in addition to IMA, at the end of December, we were just meeting with the official receiver and handing over all of our worldly goods, you might say. A friend of mine who was the Bulgarian ambassador in London called me, and he said, James, the first International Travel and Tours Conference is in Sofia in 5 days. And he said, you should go. So I said, okay, I'll go. And that's what I did. I jumped on a plane, Bulgaria Air. That's a story in itself. It was a 50-year-old plane, I think, at that time when I jumped in. And the attendant said to me, I must have looked nervous, because the attendant told me, she said, don't worry. She said, all of our pilots are Russian trained. So in the case of a problem, they all know what to do. So I got on a plane, went to Bulgaria. I was introduced as a friend of the ambassador. So that opened doors. I had dinner with the deputy prime minister, the Bulgarian, the American ambassador. And it was so strange, because when I had dinner with them, I thought at that time, should I tell them that I just declared bankruptcy because I had only done that 11 days earlier or something like that. So I started working with the Bulgarian government, developing a program of with their tourism, attracting tourists to Bulgaria, and developed a theme, Wake Up to Bulgaria. Because I was working in Bulgaria, I saw the opportunities with the property, and so we started selling some apartments in Bulgaria. And then standing on an old German bunker in 2005, my wife said to me, James, wouldn't this be a great place to build a resort? And I said, well, let's do it. And as I mentioned to you earlier, we didn't have the money. Yeah. I didn't speak Bulgarian, and I've never built anything before in my life. However, I knew with IMA that we could do it. Yeah. Because we simply, first of all, I used IMA to pick our perfect partner, who was a high red. His name was George Andreev, who was the son of the Bulgarian ambassador's, somebody that he went to school with, it was his son. And George became our partner. He had a background in building. We bought the land in 2005, started construction in 2006, and in 2008, we opened the doors to the vineyards spa resort hotel and spa and hotel,
Yeah.
which was 224 apartments, 35 villas. And in 2013, we opened a 4-star spa hotel.
Yeah.
So you can if you want to see the story of the vineyards, if you go to ima-dreamer.com, that shows you it coming right out of the ground.
I know. And the thing is, that I was saying earlier, I've seen some of the apartments on Place in the Sun, one of my favourite programmes. And it's just awesome to like see that this was all done. Because so with the people who were building and everything, did you choose those all because of like their IMA?
Of course.
I love it.
Everything was IMA related. Including, jobs have colors again, just like people. Mm-hmm. So you have to put the right people in the right jobs in order to get the right results.
Yeah.
We also sold it using IMA, matching our selling style with the customer's buying style. So my wife, Elaine, and I, we sold most of it ourselves. And people tell you what color they are if you know what to watch and listen for.
Yeah.
And so, as an example, we learned more from our high green clients because they're more serious, analytical. They want to know how things work. So they were asking questions about the size of the bricks and the type of things that we put between the bricks. And we kept going back to our partners and said, we have a client and they have a question about, that type of thing. So we learned an awful lot about the resort as a result of that.
Wow. And you're still involved with that, aren't you?
To the extent I have a villa there. We sold, many of the people that we sold there we have a relationship with them, friends. Mm-hmm. Timing, my wife said one time, she said, I don't understand, James. Just about the time we think we know all the answers, they change all the questions. And in 2008, we had still 25% of the resort to sell.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's when Lehman Brothers collapsed.
Right.
And it was the worldwide banking crisis.
Yes.
So we ended up going to Russia to sell the other 25% of the property. So consequently, we have quite a mixture of owners.
Yeah, fascinating.
And because of the international tensions and people not being able to travel because of the travel bans and things like that, it's provided some. It's a challenge. It was a challenge.
Yeah. Awesome. Absolutely. So the thing is that I'm sure that like you're not finished with everything that you're doing with IMA. So what are your future plans now with IMA? So obviously it's grown hugely, hasn't it?
It's like the reason it has grown, back in 2007, I joined a business and social networking site called Academy. Mm. And it was started by Thomas and Penny Power.
I love them both.
They are absolutely wonderful. And what happened is I was at Auto Traders with a meeting at Auto Traders in 2007. And Sharon Randall, who was the managing director, she told me, she said, James, we love you and we love IMA, but unfortunately, we're going through some cutbacks right now, and I don't know how much we're going to be able to use you in this coming year. So just to be aware of that from a budget standpoint. So instead of going directly home, I was in Reading at the time, I told my wife, there's a business and social networking site and I want to take a look at it. They were having their summer party at the Tower Hotel in London. And so I walked into the Tower Hotel. They had 700 people there. And Penny Power walked up to me and she said, "Do you know anyone here? Can I help you?" And I said, "Well, I know you, and I know you're probably the most important person here." And we really connected. In fact, when she gave her presentation, she said, "I just met the most delightful American gentleman standing in the back of the room." When I started with Academy, and keep in mind I was using IMA or Potential Unlimited with auto traders, I noticed that all of the people on Academy, I couldn't tell by their picture what they were like. So I developed a questionnaire that would answer the questions that I would be looking for if I met that person. So when someone tried to connect with me on Academy, or I wanted to connect with them, I said, to help us connect, please take a couple minutes and answer a few questions. And I developed a questionnaire of 10 questions. I would write back to them and say, well, you are a high yellow, and I'm a high yellow, and give them tips on how to connect with one another.
Yeah.
Penny and Thomas, after I'd had about 1,000 people that actually answered the questionnaire, and I had formed clubs. I had the Enthusiastic, Fun-Loving High Yellow Club, the Amiable, Supportive High Blue Club, the Serious, Intellectual High Green Club, and the Cool, Competitive High Red Club. After I had about 1,000 people that had joined those clubs, Penny and Thomas said, "We've really got something here. Could you do it for all of Academy?"
Yeah.
And so over 35,000 of their people answered the IMA questionnaire. Right next to their photo, they had what I call the images.
Yeah.
And in fact, Penny was the very first person that I sent the high blue image to.
Yeah.
And she put it on her profile and sent back, said, "I love it." So right next to 35,000 people's photos, they had what color they were, tips to connect with one another, and so on. So it was through that questionnaire, people pass it from one person to the next for its practical value. And it's traveled all around the world. I've had over 250,000 people answer the IMA questionnaire without promoting it.
Yeah.
And to give you an idea on the scope of it now as to what happened, I was contacted by a lady who introduced herself as working for the Department of Defense in Washington. And she said, "My name is Selena Carr McEwen." She said, "I was at Harvard Women in Business, and they were talking about IMA." And she said, "I'm going to be giving a talk to the Phenomenal Women's Global Conference in Geneva, and I want to become an IMA practitioner." And I asked her, I said, "Selena, who at Harvard was talking about IMA?" And she said, "It was someone from Uganda." So that just made my heart leap, because my goal is to have everyone in the world know about IMA.
Yeah.
Because our lives would be easier, richer, fuller, happier, more effective if we knew what color we were.
Yeah.
So every day, people answer the questionnaire. And I know I'm giving a lot of information. I'm talking, I told you before, I didn't realize I had caffeine when I ordered my latte. So I'm talking probably more than I would normally talk.
It's fabulous.
But every day people are discovering their IMA high color.
Yeah.
And what your IMA high color is that it is the key to the invisible door that is in the wall that every person unknowingly builds around themselves.
Mm.
When you know your I'm a high color, then it gives you the answers as to how you think, make decisions, use time, manage your emotions, what you want, what you need, what you expect. And it helps you appreciate yourself for what you are. It gives you a renewed understanding of how you fit into your world, your relationship with others, how to connect with them.
Yeah.
And I believe it is the answer to most of the world's most pressing problems is in the question, what color are you?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely being able to understand yourself and understand others. It's, it's everything.
Take a
really, isn't
look
it?
at all of the problems that we have in today's world today. Mental health, as an example, the struggle people are having within their mental health, and how it is your mind that helps you determine how well you live, connect, handle stress and challenges, and how you enjoy your life. But if you can appreciate yourself for what you are, it gives you a predictable framework that acts as a psychological credit card that you can draw on at any time.
Yeah.
Loneliness. 25% of the world's population are just like you in every town. No one should ever be lonely because you would find people that look at and filter the world through your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I just love that concept, and the fact that, it is very true that, as I say, understanding yourself and understanding how you process the world, it's like it's so key to unlocking the riches for you in your life, isn't it? Really, of friendships, of business, of how you perform every day. It's
Or
just
why
everything.
things aren't working the way that they
exactly.
are.
Yeah.
If you realize if you have somebody in your life that's causing your life a misery, it is the fact, chances are you found somebody that's exactly the opposite of you. So for high yellows, as an example, it would be high greens. High yellows are right brain thinking. High greens are left brain thinking. High yellows are assertive, approaching risk change to make decisions quickly. High greens are more slow and more methodical.
Yeah.
Now are you ready for this? Do you know what color high yellows end up marrying more than anything else?
High greens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so for that reason, after you're together a while, it's not a relationship that's made in heaven, because someone is always having to compromise. However, there are reasons that you came together in the first place, and that was you recognized the other person had qualities that you did not have, and it's a strengthening to have a relationship that can covers both areas. However, after we're together a while, we lose sight of that. And so out of the 400,000 people that come together every year, 200,000 of them predict that their lives would be better apart than together. And in some cases, it's simply, if you knew IMA, then it could help you understand, relate to, and work together with your partner.
It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I love it. I really, really want to, like I just say, I use it with my salon owner clients and things, and it and they get their teams to do it. And I would love, my aim is for it to be part of, how you pull your teams together and how you make just a great workforce, as well as, it'd be fascinating as well because the more you understand about IMA as well, I think even without the questions, you do see the traits in other people and start to understand it. And, so I think as well, the more you understand it, the more then you can start to understand your clients and everything as well. So, yeah, I absolutely love it. And it's for our industry, I just think, and that's why I trained as a practitioner. I just think it's invaluable for our industry, but as well just for everyone. So
it's
welcome
not just
everyone.
It's not just what color are you, it's what color is your partner.
Yeah.
What color are your kids? What color are your kids' teachers? Because each of the 4 IMA high colors learn in a different way, and they need to be taught in a different way.
Yeah.
And so when you put all of those areas together, if it starts with you, it genuinely can help make your life easier, happier, and more effective. So the questionnaire that you have as an IMA practitioner, if people that are listening to this want to take the next step and identify their IMA high color, then if they simply go to Susan Rutledge IMA.com, you'll answer 10 questions, and it's through that you'll identify your IMA high color.
Yeah. And as I say, it's so fast and just so accurate. It just astounds me every time. I just absolutely love it. James, this has been absolutely fascinating, and I've just loved, and I think we've only still just touched on, because it's just such a big topic, there's still so many questions that I could just continue asking you, but and hopefully I'll get you back as a guest again. But this has just been fascinating, and I just can't thank you enough for giving you time.
It's my pleasure. I can't thank you enough because, again, as my goal is to have everyone in the world know about IMA. And through this wonderful podcast that you've created, hopefully it will introduce other people.
Yeah.
And through your great work with the salons and introducing it into the salons, identifying what color your customer clients are, and helping people connect with one another.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. It's been wonderful to spend this time with you.
Thank you so much.